Welcome to Survivor One World Tribal Council. This is where it all goes down. People fight to get on this show. They send in tapes. They try to cajole us during the interview process, all to ultimately come here and, for most of them, get voted out. I just want to give you a little bit of a background. This tribal council is built over water, and if you could see it during the day, you would see that it is surrounded by mangrove trees, and the production design team came out and found a spot where they could actually build tribal council with this beautiful surrounding. And what it meant is they would have to work on tribal when the tide was out, and then when the water came back in, they would have to leave and then come back when the water went out again. So it took quite a while. It was about 2 months to build this place, but as you can see, it is probably the most spectacular tribal we've ever done. You really do feel like you're in a pirate movie. And right here, this is the heart of it. These little stumps where the survivors plop down to be grilled by me sitting across from them. This really is the tribal council equivalent of our living room. This is where we hang out and talk about everything. The only thing is there's $1 million stake attached to this living room, because if you leave and don't come back, you're out of the game. So the goal at tribal council every single time you're here is make sure it ain't me. And the guy that's trying to stop you is me, and I sit over there. This is my part of the living room where I hang out at tribal council. This is the urn where the votes go in, and this is the snuffer. Take a look at this. This is handmade. It's a piece of art. These are the guys I work with. They build this stuff, they build this, and it all works. So the votes go in here, we read them. Unfortunately, somebody has to go home. And then the move I love at tribal is saying, you need to bring me your torch, because for one little moment, I'm in control. And I pick up the snuffer and I admire its beauty. And then I walk over here and, like a trained assassin, I line it up, elbow precisely at whatever this is, 38 degrees, I think. And then I set it down like this. This is why our show is so good. It works every time. This is the voting area. I love this part of tribal council always for the same reason. The design of it is always set up so that the person voting is right over the shoulder of all the people that they can choose to vote for. And I love that because it's such a great visual reminder of what's happening. And it also gives the person here the opportunity to either whisper and say the reason I'm voting you out, or if they want, they can speak in a loud volume and say the reason I'm voting you out is you're an idiot, knowing that those guys behind them can hear them. And while we're up here, I read the blogs. I know what a lot of you think about me. So I will do for you what I know you would like to do to me. Rejoice. I will, only for ceremony, vote myself off. For years, you guys have wanted this to happen. Consider it done. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed your tour of Survivor One World Tribal Council. By far my favorite tribal council of all 24, and I think you can look around and see why. We are over water, surrounded by mangroves. It's a beautiful location, huts everywhere. You feel like you're on some sort of a pirate movie, almost 50 lights and fires combined. This is how we do it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Survivor One World. The night is young. I must go. So long.